He has 22 post-life albums. Relax, guys. We don't need another Tupac album, okay? It's called clickbait. You're welcome. You're here. Anyway, so Tupac's murder investigation has been going on apparently since 1996. And they have finally made an arrest. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested at the age of 60-some years old in connection to Tupac's murder. Now, Marvin, why do you make this face? Because one, I want to say, hey, let's congratulate the detectives on good detective work. They got on a case, and you know, they solved it in the first 48. We didn't know 48 meant 48 years, but here we are. So, Keefe D has gone on record time and time again saying, I was in the car. I gave old boy my gun. Who'd you give your gun? I gave it to Orlando Anderson. That was my little cousin, the one that Tupac beat up in the Vegas video, the one that everyone's seen. Oh, you did that? Yeah, on the podcast I told him I didn't shoot him, but you know, I slid the gun to the back seat. Orlando pulled out, he popped Tupac. The word got to the streets. Orlando went home. Someone popped Orlando because that's what street justice was at the time. We knew all of this for years. There is nothing new in this investigation at all, except for the police going, we solved the case, guys. Give us our credit. And so the real question with all of this information right now, it honestly is Puffy okay? Because that's the real question. Because we know Puffy has ties to Mr. D. We know Puffy and Suge were beefing. We know Tupac and Biggie were beefing. We know that this Crips, Blood, East, West, this entire explosion happened because of these two labels. And it has been said, thrown around, battered, that Puffy allegedly reached out and was like, hey, I'm trying to put a number on Mr. Pac's head, not two, and handle it. So I think that'll be the interesting turn in this investigation, is seeing exactly what happens with Puffy, P. Diddy. But based on the first half of the investigation, I think Puffy will have been on his 20th name change. He will probably be retired if he's not dead at the time before he has to face any real allegations going forward. So, Puffy will be good. Now, speaking of name changes and sponsorships, the U.S. government is now being sponsored by Taco Bell. That's right. Why? Take a run for the border. The U.S. government has decided it is time for the border to be walled off. And no, we are not talking about the walls of Jericho, which is one of my favorite wrestling moves. The sharpshooter is number one. Walls of Jericho number two. Anyway, no one asked me that. I just figured you know.
Stone Cold Stunner?
The Stone Cold Stunner was until the RKO came out. And it was the improved stunner. It was the stunner with distance. And it was like, all right, well, RKO is kind of better than the Stone Cold Stunner. And the Rock Bottom just looked like he picked people up and laid them on the ground softly. It was electrifying at the time. Not my favorite moves. People kicked out of those. You didn't kick out the Walls of Jericho. You didn't kick out the sharpshooter. Anyway, moving on. Trump's border wall. The thing that he ran his entire campaign on, the thing that he only built 50 miles in 4 years, is about to be expanded upon. Joe Biden and his administration said, hey guys, I think the wall wasn't a bad idea. Maybe we should, grow the wall. So this wall is being expanded, and it's being expanded because Joe Biden and the Dems and the House and everyone else, they are failing with policies and control at our southern border. They just are. They are failing worse than I did in English when I was turning in papers in high school. Okay, I've gotten better at English. I don't need your judgment. But you tell me what the fuck a dangling participle is. I still don't know. We spent an entire unit on participles and dangling participles. I ain't got it. Right? And the same way I ain't got it, Joe Biden ain't got no answers for what to do on our southern border. We both confused. Okay? Now, the issue is you have, the world knows when Democrats are in office in the United States, the border policy is eased up, right? And it's a place of refuge, yada, yada. So they ramp up their leaving and seeking refuge here in the States because they know they're not going to be put in cages or, you know, mysteriously vanish. Now, the issue is we kind of have space for more people, but we kind of don't. There's a lot of things that we have to do home first to fix. And I know people will be like, oh, no, you let people who need help in. To an extent, okay? And I'm going to give it to you like this. If you have a small church, right? You got 5 pews. You cannot have 20 homeless people inside that church, even though you want to. And if the church does extend it, more power to them. But at some point, you push that church to the edge. But then you get super mega church in Texas, your boy, and they don't want to let anyone in during the flooding or anything like that. We're not there. We're somewhere in the middle as a country, but we have a ton of problems that we need to handle. And what we actually need to do is figure out what our policy on the border is going to be, because without any policy on the border, it's going to have surges like this every 4 or 8 years whenever the power changes. So Biden is building a wall, which we've already known and said is ineffectual, but he's out of ideas, folks. That man is lost. And here's the other part. Here's the crazy part. 1 million people have turned up missing. They just don't know where they are. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but there are 1 million people missing right now. They could have entered the States. They could not. They don't know. But there's no control at the border, at our southern border. And speaking of things that are lost, Kevin McCarthy lost his job as Speaker of the House. Yes. Kevin McCarthy, super Trump guy, massive Trumper, had a hard time even becoming the Speaker of the House because the super white, ooh boy, you want to talk about Freudian slips. The super right wing had an issue with McCarthy because they were like, oh, he's Trump's puppet, although so are you. Anyway, so it took a lot of votes, I think 15, for him to get into the position of Speaker of the House. And now, the reason why he lost his job, actually, I believe he did the right thing. We were heading towards another government shutdown because the Republicans wanted to make all these demands about federal spending. They wanted to cut millions in federal spending and do all of these things. And McCarthy said, listen, you have hundreds of thousands of U.S. government employees who will lose their checks. We're not actually trying to put our people out of business to get a control on government spending. We want the government employees to be able to work. So he brokered a 45-day deal. 45 days, that's it. 6 weeks, guys. Let's give us 6 weeks to see if we can figure this out and come to terms. The issue, and you've heard me say this before, is when we vote on raising the debt ceiling, that's the vote. Are we raising the debt ceiling or not? That's all. The problem is you have Democrats and Republicans now that want to take the government hostage because they want to push their agendas. No, if you're going to push spending agendas, that gets done when you work on the budget so that you don't worry about defaulting and all the other things that come in. So anyway, the Freedom Caucus was so upset. He turned his back on us. We can't believe it. So, and the leader of the caucus, the Freedom Caucus, is Matt Gaetz. Sorry, that is an actual douchebag. Can we put up the douchebag? Yeah. Thank you, Matt Gaetz. This douchebag here is. He's about as right can get when it comes to what his policies are in the government. And so he oh my God, Kevin McCarthy turned his back on the Republican Party. We need to vote him out. And so basically the Democrats, who actually had someone on their side for once, helped with the rest of the Republican Party in voting out Kevin McCarthy. I don't like Kevin McCarthy. I think Kevin McCarthy's a piece of shit. I think the fact that they were able to get Democratic support to vote out Kevin McCarthy is ridiculous, because he actually did something to help. He actually made a bipartisan move, and you jackasses missed it. Anyway, we're dealing with that when we have much bigger fish to fry in the world. A lot of you know, as of, I guess, 2 days ago, Hamas attacked Israel. And Hamas is this terrorist organization from the Middle East. So what we're not going to do is break down this entire story. We're just going to touch on some key points. The first point of this is we need to find some way to coexist in the Middle East. There has to be some sort of peace that we can broker, because we're losing. We're spiraling right now. The world in itself is spiraling. The happiest person in the world right now with this Hamas attack is Putin. Put money on it. Putin is like, wait, we are not the top story? Y'all not talking about us? Phenomenal. Because we still haven't won this war after a year and a half that we thought we were going to be out in a week. Anyway, Putin's happy. The issue is Hamas has attacked Israel. If you look at the videos, there's a ton of videos, it really looked like the night sky on the 4th of July. But this is where people were losing their lives. They've kidnapped Israelis, Jewish people. They have executed them point blank range. They have a ton more of hostages. Israel is saying we are going to a full siege of Gaza. Like, we're not playing with them. We getting everything. This is lives lost, millions of billions of dollars, an unstable world, and so many things, because this is how world wars start, ladies and gentlemen. The world wars didn't start because they all called, yo, let's team up. It was, we're fighting this war here. Japan and China were beefing already, right? Italy wanted expansion. German made their move. And then it was like, hey, well, I mean, since we all here, we might as well link up. You have Russia and Ukraine at war. You have whatever's happening in Syria, always happening in Syria. Now you have this war breaking down between Hamas and Israel. But what happens is this leaks into the Palestinian state. Then we have other issues. There's all of these massive interwoven issues that are upon us at this very time. So what we're going to do is pray for world peace, because the sooner we can get back to world peace, the faster these gas prices can drop. Because my God, I cannot do $7.09 at the pump anymore. I just can't. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's all the news today for Comedy Trap House News. We're gonna hop in the chat like we always do, and I don't need you judging me about gas prices. I have a German design engineered car, and it only allows me to put in premium gas, and it costs a lot of money, and it hurts because I have to go to the gas station right after we finish this episode. Let's go to the chat, guys. Questions, concerns. Oh God, get the likes up, ladies and gentlemen. What are y'all doing? Y'all just sitting here watching me? Click likes, super chat, save, share, all the good things, people. Any questions about the news or anything like that, we're gonna hop in the chat. Again, super chats let me see better, because my cataracts, you know, They light up when it's bread over there. Let's see, what do we have? What up? Tupac album. That was clickbait. I said that. Day off. Who's got a day off? Who work at the bank? Late again. First of all, no, we weren't. Patrick, the time said 1:45. Just because we went live to get people in, it said 1:45. We got started at 1:44. Listen, you caught the joke. Thank you. I was wondering if someone was going to catch the Puffy catches ties to Mr. D, because you know there's a lot of videos of Puffy in questionable situations. So
how do you think Black America would feel about Puffy getting arrested?
I don't think nobody would care. I don't think anybody would care at all, honestly. I think it would be like, so I could be wrong, but it's one of those things where we've known or expected, or there's been rumors of these forever, right? It'd be like if OJ got arrested today for the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. Like, okay, duh.
Nah, he got a podcast.
Right, listen, OJ needs to sit the fuck down. Oh, yep, Joel, close the door, Osteen, my man. What do we got? Would you rather be in the walls of Jericho for 15 minutes or take a tackle from an NFL? These questions are absolutely ridiculous. Dom, shout out to Dom with the super chat. I appreciate you too. There wasn't a question though, so I can't even answer the question first, because that would be the first question. Yes, 709 on that gas is nuts. Where are we at? Would you rather be in the walls of Jericho for 15 minutes or take a tackle from an NFL player that has a 50? No, I'd rather be in the walls of Jericho for 15 minutes.
Pause.
Damn it. No, dude, the walls of Jericho is fine. Like, my back hurts and my back's gonna be messed up for 2 weeks, as opposed to like, what, Myles Garrett getting a 50-yard head start to run full speed at a 4.5 speed and unload 260 pounds into my chest? Nah.
No, sir.
Nah. There's a difference between my back hurting and me dying. I'm gonna take my back hurting for 100, Alex. Tombstone was a phenomenal finisher. I think my favorite finisher of all moves was the Razor's Edge. Razor's Edge, best finisher, up over your shoulder, arms out. No one's kicked out of the Razor's Edge, I don't believe. I think that's one of the wrestling moves that, like, when it finished, it finished. And then you have a bunch of other, nice fun moves, the S5, yada yada yada. We're talking wrestling for those people who don't know. You have all of those, but there was something about the sharpshooter, and I think the Walls of Jericho was more about how he put you into the Walls of Jericho by turning you over, and you got that whole this moment, and it was like, is he going to flip him? Is he not going to flip him? Is he going to flip? Anyway, what else do we have? Oh, shout out to Sebastian for the more love. Okay, super chatting. No, we appreciate it too. Thank you. Israel's situation is so messy, no good or bad sides, just lives lost for good reason. And I think, Sebastian, I think you hit it right on the head, right? Like, what side can you say is right? Hamas attacking is wrong, right? But it's not Hamas that's my issue. It's everything in the Palestinian state that becomes a problem, right? Like, you're going to deal with territorial exchanges and things like that. So it's like, my family's lived here for 100 years, but now it's no longer a part of this country, it's a part of this country. There's a lot of gray area that hasn't been defined, and that keeps causing all of the problems that are there in that particular area. Did we just lose?
We're coming back.
Okay. Can they hear me, or am I?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it looked like we got kicked out, so ignore all of that. But there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of... I think the funniest thing in the world to me is Muslims, Christians, and Jews are all Abrahamic religions. And what that means is the father of all these religions is Abraham. Abraham, Isaac, Sarah, all that whole story, right, is what represents all three. So we all three serve the same God on paper, right? We all have the same type of rules and laws and governments on sinning and how to be a good person and what is expected of you and what's not. Now, the avenues, slightly different, right? It's really like Waze, right? Like you turn on Waze and you go from point A to point B, and Waze goes, hey, there's 35 minutes this way, there's 36 minutes this way, there's 33 this way. And we go, well, I'm taking the 5, I'm taking the 1, I'm taking the 101. Well, fuck you too. Your mama's a bitch. It's like, wait, we're going to the same place. We're just doing it differently. And the fact that we're traveling different roads, but heading towards the same place and have this much strife is a massive problem. But we can move on from there. Thanks, Sebastian. Bret Hart has Manny Mayhem in a sharpshooter. Do you save him with a stunner, a spear, or a pedigree?
Save me!
If he's in a sharpshooter, I'm gonna hit him with a spear. Ain't nothing like a spear. That spear was brutal. Entire government needs an overhaul. Get all the 80+ year olds. Yeah, like I had this whole report last week on Dianne Feinstein, and it's the same reported thing. We just have old people with antiquated views that refuse to step out of power. And of course, we look at the people that we know, and we say, oh, it's a Republican Party. No, it's a power issue. People in power don't want to abdicate power. There's never going to voluntarily abdicate power. And it's the same issue that you look at when you deal with systemic issues in this country. The people in power are never going to voluntarily abdicate power. So you have to take power. But you have to set up parameters, rules, and things so that the transfer of power becomes smooth. And all we keep doing is getting rid of term limits and letting people 80, 90, 122 years old vote and say this is how the country is supposed to be ran. And it's ridiculous. Where are we at? Yeah. Well, Jersey gas is always crazy, but y'all get like full service. Like that was the first thing I went to. Have you ever gotten gas in Jersey?
Yeah, it's
well, you just sit in your car. You just pull up.
Yeah, they take care of it.
You feel like him. Yeah. Go ahead. Put that little $6 in my tank, please. 6, sir. First of all, mind your business. You don't know what I'm living with. And clean my windshields and do what you're supposed to do. Actually, put 5 in the tank. Give me a pack of gum. Now, I'm him. Anyway, I almost forgot to I was all in the news. You know, I appreciate that. Thank you. If Puffy got arrested, it would be 1996 all over again. Facts. Rest in peace, Razor Ramon. Crippler Crossface. Walls of Jericho. Pause. Hold on. Is there a solid candidate expected to run? No. But here's the funny thing, Big Timmy Tom Tom. I don't believe any side is putting up an actual real candidate to run for president this term, which means the leader of the free world is going to be somebody we reluctantly put in office. Apparently, unless Donald Trump is legitimately thrown in jail before the election, no one's coming out of the Republican Party that's going to win. Ramaswamy is fucking crazy. The best person you might get is Nikki Haley, but she kind of hates herself. But she at least speaks with some sort of like knowledge when she speaks of the government. Chris Christie is one burger away from a heart attack, and it's been that way for a few years. His heart is holding on, barely. There's just no, what's his name? Tim Scott is a joke. He wants to be what OJ tried to be. So no, I don't think the Republican Party's putting anyone out, but Joe Biden's about to pass out and die. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, is not popular by any way, shape, or form amongst the Democrats. So she wouldn't even get enough votes from her own party to win. And I just don't see her winning against Donald Trump in a head-to-head position. So I think just in general, we kind of messed up, which is sad. Where are we at? I'd rather be in a cross-faced DJ. That's funny. The whole situation's messed up. Yeah, taking lines for no reason. What are your thoughts on HSLDA scrutiny as of late? You're gonna have to tell me what those letters are. But we're still here. We looking them up right now. Ew, Sexy Red and Trump. Oh, her comments about Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Sexy Red's stupid. Homeschool Legal Defense Association describes itself as a Christian organization on lax homeschooling rules. Parents don't have to teach their kids anything. I will say, I would have to go into more if this is what the homeschool thing is, but I think homeschooling is a joke in general. And this is why I believe homeschooling is a joke. We live in a society. You have to learn how to deal with people. You have to learn how to interact with people. You have to learn how to work in group settings. You have to, once you get into the business world, in a hospital world or anywhere, you know you're not an island amongst yourself, right? That is just a truism about what society is. So when you homeschool your kids, one, you're the teacher, the judge, the juror, the executioner. So your kid can be dumb as rocks and you can give them straight A's their whole life. They don't learn anything. Or they have no social skills. You weren't good at math. Why are you teaching your kid math? There's so many other things. You hire someone to come in and teach. Let your kids go to school. If you are so concerned about school, then you deal with the education reform, which I believe is still the secret to fixing a massive amount of the problems in these United States of America. Oh yeah, the world, listen, I would have a tizzy if Biden died and Kamala came to power. Listen, I'm just make it to the end, my guy. And if you want to know, I'll give a full explanation on my issues with Miss Harris herself at another time. She's been MIA because they're trying to get her black card colored back in. So if you actually look, she's been popping up with doing black things, so that way she can keep the black vote because
she had a cookout. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It was like, oh, she's a cookout. Look at her dancing at the cookout. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Stop it. But that's what they do. They'll try to cater to us. Watch, she gonna pop up in a Popeye's chicken commercial talking about, love that chicken, and you'll be like, what? And then you're gonna have somebody be like, man, well, Kamala Harris, she's down with the people. She's one of my people. She's gonna throw a Sexy Red response about Trump being dope out into the streets. We just need, if you're going to be a politician, be that. Have policy, have comment. I may not agree with all of your policies, but if you sound like you got a head on your shoulder and a plan, guess what? You got my vote. Maybe not. But compared to these other dudes, yes, you got my vote. Anyway, that's our time here at Comedy Trap House News. It's your boy Marvin Telp. We'll be back next week. Seeing when we see you. Peace.
Kamala could always go coach at Colorado.
Listen. If she got a staff job with Deion Sanders right now, her poll numbers will go up. And now we out.